We live in a world where romantic relationships can be extremely challenging. The dynamics between men and women have evolved significantly over the past few decades, creating new layers of complexity in romantic interactions. Many men find themselves in situations where, despite all their effort and dedication, they feel that their partner is distant, indecisive, or simply losing interest. This scenario can be devastating, but there is a way to reverse this situation and reignite the desire and admiration of the woman you love. The ability to make someone want you is not an innate gift or a matter of luck. It is a skill that can be developed with self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and proper strategies. It's not about manipulation or psychological games, but rather about deeply understanding emotional dynamics and creating an environment conducive to the flourishing of genuine affection. Let's explore together how you can transform your romantic reality and make her desire you intensely once again. Imagine the following situation. You're in a relationship that seemed solid, but lately you've noticed subtle signs of distancing. Communication becomes less frequent, dates are less exciting, and then that dreaded message arrives. "I need some time to think about us." In that moment, a wave of emotions takes over. Fear, insecurity, confusion, even despair. Your first impulse might be to bombard her with messages, beg for another chance, or perhaps try to impress her with gifts and grand gestures. Take a deep breath. This instinctive reaction, while understandable, usually has the opposite effect of what you intended. The path to rekindling her interest is very different from what most men imagine. It's natural to feel shaken when the relationship seems to be falling apart. Your heart races, your mind is filled with negative thoughts, and you might even have trouble sleeping or concentrating on other activities. Recognize that these feelings are normal. They are part of the human experience when facing a potential loss. However, it is crucial not to let these emotions dictate your actions. To effectively navigate these turbulent waters, it's essential to understand how female emotions work. The emotional universe of women has its own characteristics that many men find difficult to decipher. Women tend to value emotional connection as much as, or even more than, physical attraction. They are naturally more sensitive to nuances in behavior and communication, picking up on subtle signals that many men don't even notice. When a woman starts to pull away, it's usually not a sudden decision, but the result of accumulated small disappointments, unmet expectations, or neglected emotional needs. Female emotions function like a river that constantly changes course. In a relationship, there are moments of intense closeness followed by periods of apparent indifference. This fluctuation is a natural part of emotional dynamics and doesn't necessarily indicate a problem, unless the periods of distancing become increasingly frequent and prolonged. When that happens, it's a clear sign that something fundamental isn't being addressed in the relationship. Women are attracted to men who demonstrate confidence and self-assurance. Paradoxically, many men, upon noticing their partner's distancing, begin to act insecurely and desperately, reinforcing the very traits that diminish their attractiveness. Self-confidence is not just a desirable quality. It is the foundation upon which any successful strategy for winning her back is built. First and foremost, recognize your intrinsic value as a person, regardless of the relationship. You are much more than your role as a partner. You are an individual with unique qualities, talents, and potential. Invest in activities that boost your self-esteem, regular physical exercise, developing professional skills, cultivating meaningful friendships, and seeking new knowledge and experiences. When you value yourself and demonstrate this through your actions, you naturally become more attractive and magnetic. Self-respect is another fundamental pillar in this process. Never beg for attention, affection, or commitment. Such behavior signals low self-worth and generally elicits repulsion rather than attraction. Maintain your dignity even in the most difficult moments. This doesn't mean being cold or indifferent, but rather establishing healthy and clear boundaries about how you allow yourself to be treated. Now, let's delve deeper into the possible causes of your partner's indecision and distancing. In most cases, female distancing is linked to a perceived decrease in admiration and affection. When a relationship begins, you likely gave your partner your full attention, surprised her with romantic gestures, showed genuine interest in her opinions and feelings, and made an effort to express your desire and admiration for her. Over time, it's natural for routines to settle in and for the intensity of these demonstrations to decrease. However, many men make the mistake of drastically reducing the behaviors that initially won over their partner. Stop and reflect. Do you still genuinely compliment her? Do you still show interest in her thoughts and feelings? Do you still surprise her with small gestures that show you're thinking of her? Do you still keep the spark of desire alive in the relationship? Small changes in your behavior can have a profound impact on how she feels about you. Perhaps you've become too predictable, lost the element of mystery that initially intrigued her, or maybe you're so focused on your own concerns that you've stopped noticing and valuing her emotional needs. It's also possible that you've started treating her as an extension of your life, rather than as an independent partner with her own desires and ambitions. The good news is that if your actions have gradually diminished her interest, you have the power to reverse this process by adopting behaviors that rekindle attraction and desire. However, this requires a very different approach from what most men intuitively adopt when faced with such a situation. One of the most powerful concepts in this context is non-reactivity. When your partner shows indecision or asks for time, the instinctive reaction of many men is to try to fix the situation immediately by bombarding her with messages, gifts, declarations of love, or even emotional ultimatums. This reactive approach usually has the opposite effect, increasing the pressure on her and reinforcing her need to distance herself. Non-reactivity involves staying calm and avoiding impulsive actions based on fear or insecurity. Instead of sending that long message explaining why she should stay with you, take a deep breath and hold back that impulse. Instead of making grand promises of change or trying to logically convince her that the relationship is worth it, give her the space she requested. This doesn't mean giving up, but rather adopting a strategic and emotionally intelligent approach. When you respond calmly and confidently to her request for time or space, you communicate a powerful message. You are emotionally mature and confident enough to respect her boundaries without becoming destabilized. This attitude alone significantly increases your attractiveness in her eyes, creating a stark contrast to the desperate reaction she likely expected. Practicing non-reactivity requires self-control and emotional awareness. When you feel the urge to act out of fear of losing her, stop and ask yourself, is this action coming from a place of security and self-love, or from insecurity and emotional dependency? Fear-based actions almost always push your partner further away, while actions based on self-confidence and mutual respect are much more likely to bring you closer together. Respecting your partner's space is fundamental in this process. When she asks for time to think about the relationship, she is communicating a legitimate need for emotional distance to process her feelings and clear her thoughts. Granting this space is not a sign of weakness or indifference. In fact, it's a sign of emotional maturity and respect. First, respect the silence. Avoid sending constant messages asking how she is or if she has made any decisions. Don't try to provoke jealousy or emotionally manipulate the situation to get a reaction from her. Don't use mutual friends to gather information or send indirect messages. Instead, clearly communicate that you understand her need for time and space, and that you will be available when she feels ready to talk. During this period, focus on your own development and well-being. Intensify your physical activities, dive deeper into your professional projects, strengthen your friendships, and explore new interests. This not only fills your time constructively, but also enhances your self-perception of value, which will inevitably be reflected in your demeanor when you eventually interact with her again. It's crucial at this time to avoid possessive or manipulative behaviors. Excessive jealousy, displays of insecurity, attempts to control, or emotional blackmail are extremely destructive to any possibility of winning her back. Such behaviors communicate insecurity and low self-esteem, traits that drastically reduce your attractiveness in her eyes. A confident man understands that he cannot control another person's feelings. Instead of trying to manipulate or pressure his partner, he focuses on being the best version of himself, confident that this is the most effective strategy to awaken or rekindle her interest. Remember, the more you try to control the situation, the more it will slip out of your hands. Building self-esteem is a continuous and multifaceted process. Start by identifying and challenging your limiting beliefs about yourself. Many men carry deeply ingrained ideas that they are not good enough, attractive enough, intelligent enough, or successful enough to deserve the love of an exceptional woman. These negative beliefs often manifest as desperate or manipulative behaviors in relationships. Replace these limiting beliefs with positive affirmations based on your actual qualities and achievements. Identify your strengths and work on developing them further. At the same time, acknowledge your areas for development without being overly critical of yourself. True self-esteem doesn't come from considering yourself perfect, but from accepting your imperfections while constantly striving to grow. Develop a rich and multidimensional life that doesn't depend solely on the relationship for your satisfaction and happiness. Cultivate meaningful friendships. Engage in activities that challenge and stimulate you. Seek purpose and meaning in your work, and take care of your physical and mental health. A man with a full and balanced life naturally becomes more attractive and magnetic. Nonverbal communication plays a crucial role in male attractiveness. Pay attention to your posture, tone of voice, eye contact, and facial expressions. These elements communicate more about your confidence and self-worth than any words you might say. Practice an upright posture, direct but non-intrusive eye contact, a firm and modulated tone of voice, and facial expressions that convey serenity and confidence. Also, develop your active listening skills. Many men make the mistake of trying to impress women by talking about themselves, their achievements, or opinions, without realizing that true connection arises when we show genuine interest in the other person's inner world. When you eventually interact with your partner again, focus on understanding her feelings and perspectives without interrupting or immediately trying to solve her problems. While working on yourself and respecting your partner's space, it's also important to emotionally prepare for the possibility that the relationship may not be rekindled. This preparation doesn't mean giving up prematurely, but rather developing the emotional strength to accept any outcome with dignity and maturity. In some cases, your partner's persistent indecision may indicate that the relationship no longer meets both of your emotional needs. If, after a reasonable period of reflection and space, she remains indecisive or distant, it might be time to consider ending the relationship in a dignified and respectful manner. This decision, although painful, can be the healthiest choice for both of you in the long run. How do you recognize when it's time to move forward? Look for consistent patterns, not isolated incidents. If your partner shows continuous disinterest, consistently avoids emotional or physical intimacy, or repeatedly expresses doubts about the future of the relationship, these are signs that the bond may be irreparably weakened. At this point, prolonging the situation generally causes more suffering than growth. Ending a relationship maturely requires courage and self-control. Avoid accusations, emotional manipulations, or attempts to make your partner feel guilty for your decision. Instead, express gratitude for the shared experiences. Clearly communicate your decision to move forward, and establish healthy boundaries for the post-relationship period. This approach preserves your dignity and leaves the door open for possible future reconciliation if circumstances change. Remember that ending a relationship is not a failure, but an opportunity for growth and renewal. Many men discover, after the end of a significant relationship, that they possess a much greater inner strength than they imagined. This discovery alone profoundly transforms their self-perception and their approach to future relationships. The end of a relationship also makes room for new connections and experiences that may be more aligned with who you have become and with your current values. Often, we cling to relationships that no longer serve us out of fear of the unknown or loneliness. However, it is precisely by embracing this uncertainty that we find opportunities for growth and happiness we couldn't have foreseen. Regardless of the outcome of the current situation, whether it's winning back your partner or starting a new chapter in your life, focusing on personal development will always be your greatest ally. This is the time to intensely invest in your evolution as a man. developing qualities that will make you not only a more attractive partner, but also a more fulfilled and balanced person. Self-awareness is the foundation of any genuine personal development. Take time to honestly reflect on your qualities, limitations, values, and goals. What are your strengths that can be further developed? What aspects of your personality or behavior have been recurring obstacles in your relationships? What do you truly value and seek in a romantic connection? These deep reflections provide the map for your personal evolution journey. Emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions, and to respond appropriately to the emotions of others, is particularly crucial in this context. Emotionally intelligent men are able to navigate relationship challenges more effectively, avoiding impulsive reactions and cultivating deeper, more satisfying connections. To develop your emotional intelligence, practice accurately identifying and naming your emotions as they arise. Instead of just saying you're bad or upset, try to identify whether you're feeling hurt, fear, anger, sadness, shame, or some combination of these emotions. This seemingly simple practice significantly enhances your emotional self-control. Also, develop your capacity for empathy, the ability to understand and share another person's feelings. This doesn't mean agreeing with everything the other person thinks or feels, but rather making a genuine effort to see the situation from her perspective. Empathy is one of the most attractive qualities a man can cultivate, as it creates deep and meaningful emotional connections. Expanding your intellectual and cultural horizons also significantly contributes to your personal growth and attractiveness. Read books that challenge your thinking, learn about diverse topics, expose yourself to different cultural and philosophical perspectives. A man with a rich and curious mind naturally becomes more interesting and magnetic in his social and romantic interactions. Taking care of your physical health deserves special attention in this process. Regular exercise not only improves your appearance, but also releases endorphins that boost your mood and reduce stress. A balanced diet provides the energy and nutrients necessary for optimal functioning of the body and mind. Adequate sleep is essential for emotional regulation and mental clarity. Together, these elements create the physiological foundation for your emotional well-being and your ability to make balanced decisions. Your social support network is another vital resource during this period of transformation. Cultivate genuine friendships with people who support and inspire you to grow. Be open to sharing your feelings and challenges with trusted friends, but avoid turning all your social interactions into sessions of lamenting about the relationship. Also, seek the company of men you admire and who demonstrate the qualities you wish to develop. Your social influences deeply shape who you become. The practice of gratitude radically transforms your perspective on life and relationships. Instead of focusing on what you've lost or what's missing in your life, direct your attention to the blessings and opportunities present. Develop the habit of daily identifying aspects of your life for which you are grateful. This simple, yet powerful practice elevates your emotional state and helps you attract more positive experiences. Developing a greater life purpose that transcends romantic relationships provides a sense of direction and meaning that naturally increases your attractiveness. When you are committed to meaningful goals and live in alignment with your deepest values, you radiate authenticity and passion that are magnetic. Romantic relationships become a welcome addition to your already meaningful life, not the main source of your value and happiness. As you implement these personal development practices, you naturally prepare yourself for healthier and more satisfying future relationships, whether with your current partner or someone new who enters your life. The self-confidence, emotional maturity, and self-awareness you develop in this process profoundly transform your approach to relationships. The man who emerges from this journey will be able to more clearly identify partners compatible with his values and life goals. You will recognize warning signs in potential relationships before they become serious problems. Your ability to establish and maintain healthy boundaries will prevent destructive dynamics from the start. Your strengthened self-esteem will protect you from staying in relationships that do not meet your essential emotional needs. Your communication skills will also be transformed by this personal growth process. You will become more adept at expressing your needs, desires, and boundaries clearly and respectfully. Your listening will become deeper and more empathetic, creating space for genuine connections. Your ability to navigate conflicts constructively will strengthen rather than weaken your bonds. The balance between giving and receiving, a major challenge in relationships, will become more natural for you. Instead of excessively sacrificing your needs to please your partner or expecting her to meet all your expectations, you will cultivate a dynamic of healthy reciprocity. This balance creates sustainable relationships where both partners feel valued and respected. Your natural attractiveness will also increase significantly as a result of this personal development process. Genuine self-confidence, attentive presence, the ability to form deep emotional connections, and a clear life purpose are extremely attractive qualities that transcend physical appearance or social status. They communicate value and spark genuine interest in women who resonate with these characteristics. Remember that authentic attractiveness does not come from superficial techniques or psychological manipulations, but from genuine inner development that naturally reflects in your attitudes and behaviors. When you become a more complete, balanced, and self-aware man, your presence alone communicates value and ignites interest. If your current partner eventually decides to return to the relationship, you will be in a much stronger position to build a renewed and healthier connection. Your personal growth will create a positive contrast with the man she knew before, sparking new curiosity and interest. Your expanded emotional capacity will allow for deeper and more honest conversations about both of your needs in the relationship. On the other hand, if the current relationship ends, you will be much better prepared to attract and build meaningful connections in the future. The clarity you've developed about your values and goals will help you identify more compatible partners. Your strengthened self-esteem will protect you from falling into dysfunctional dynamics out of fear of loneliness. Your elevated emotional intelligence will facilitate the building of authentic and lasting bonds. In conclusion, the path to making a woman want you, whether by winning back your current partner or preparing for future relationships, inevitably involves your own development as a man. There are no shortcuts or magic techniques that replace genuine internal work. Non-reactivity, respecting your partner's space, strengthening self-esteem, and focusing on personal growth are the most powerful tools at your disposal. By adopting an emotionally mature stance in the face of relationship challenges, you not only increase your chances of awakening and maintaining the interest of the woman you desire, but also become a more fulfilled and balanced man in all areas of life. This is the true victory. Regardless of the specific outcome of any relationship, remember that authentic love cannot be forced or manipulated. It arises naturally from the connection between two people who mutually value each other and choose to be together every day. By becoming the best version of yourself and creating space for the other person to make her own choices, you lay the foundation for truly satisfying and lasting relationships. The journey can be challenging and sometimes painful, but the fruits of this internal work will transform not only your romantic relationships, but your entire life experience. Take the reins of your personal growth today, regardless of external circumstances, and watch as your reality, including your love life, begins to transform as a reflection of your inner evolution. The power to make a woman want you ultimately lies in your hands, not through manipulation tactics or emotional games, but through the genuine development of qualities that naturally spark interest, admiration, and desire. This is the path of the man who understands that his greatest attractiveness comes from within and builds relationships based on real value, not on insecurity or emotional dependency. Move forward with confidence on this journey, knowing that each step toward your personal growth is also a step toward more satisfying and authentic relationships. True male attraction power comes from the congruence between who you are inside and how you present yourself to the world, a congruence that only genuine internal work can provide.